Hello everyone, I'm Justin and this is everything you need to know before watching Halloween Kills. There have been 11 Halloween movies released, and within those 11 movies there are 5 different timelines. I'm only going to talk about the 5th timeline since the 1978 and 2018 Halloween movies are the only ones considered canon in the new movie. To start, we have to go all the way back to Halloween night, 1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois, where a 6-year-old Michael Myers commits his first murder after killing his sister with a butcher knife. He's then sent to the Smith's Grove Sanitarium, a detainment center for the criminally insane, where he is kept for 15 years until Halloween Eve in 1978 when Dr. Sam Loomis with Nurse Marion Chambers comes to transfer Michael to another facility. But when they get there, they're shocked to see the inmates wandering around outside. Loomis gets out of the car to look for Michael, but just then Michael attacks Marion and steals the vehicle. The next day, back in Haddonfield, we meet Laurie Strode, a high schooler and babysitter who plans to spend her Halloween night babysitting a little boy named Tommy Doyle. We also learn that her dad is a local realtor who is selling the old Myers house, of which Tommy is afraid of since he heard that some awful things happened there. Laurie doesn't seem to be worried about any of that, so she goes to drop off the keys, leaving them under the doormat. As she's leaving, she is unknowingly watched from the inside of the house by Michael. Michael then continues to stalk her while she's in school and as she's walking home with her friends Linda and Annie. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis has made his way to Haddonfield where he tells the sheriff about Michael's escape. Sheriff Brackett takes Loomis to the Myers house where we get to learn more about the years Michael spent under Loomis's watch.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Laurie is now babysitting Tommy, and her friend Annie drops off the kid she's supposed to be watching so that she can go have sex with her boyfriend Paul. But after Annie gets in her car to leave, she is attacked and killed by Michael. Michael then kills Annie's friend Linda and her boyfriend Bob. They came over to the Wallace house expecting to see Annie babysitting, but since no one appeared to be home, they just went upstairs and had sex. Michael kills Bob by stabbing him with a butcher knife, leaving him hanging up against the wall. And he kills Linda while she's on the phone with Laurie by strangling her with the phone cord. Laurie is concerned by what she heard over the phone, so she goes over to the Wallace house to see if Annie and Linda are okay. When she gets there, she finds the dead bodies of Annie, Linda, and Bob before Michael slashes her in the shoulder, causing her to fall down the stairs. Laurie is able to escape the house and get back to the Doyle house, where she tells the kids to hide as she waits for Michael with a knitting needle. Michael enters the house through the window, but Laurie is able to land a stab to his neck with the needle, knocking him to the ground. Laurie then goes upstairs to get the kids, but Michael gets back to his feet and appears behind her. So she has the kids go hide in one room as she goes into a different one and hides in the closet. Michael follows her and punches through the closet door, but Laurie is able to land a stab to his eye with a wire hanger and knock him out once again. She tells the kids to run to her neighbor's house and call the police, but as they leave, he attacks Laurie again and begins to strangle her to death. Dr. Loomis had been watching over the neighborhood all night since he knew Michael was here after finding the nurse's missing car. And after he sees the kids running out of the Doyle house, he realizes Michael must be inside. Laurie is able to stop Michael's attack by taking off his mask, and as he's putting it back on, Dr. Loomis lands a shot with his gun. He shoots Michael 5 more times and sends him falling off of the balcony onto the ground. Loomis looks away for a moment, and when he looks back, Michael has vanished. We learn in Halloween 2018 that Michael is eventually caught by a police officer, Frank Hawkins. Michael is then taken back to the Smith's Grove Sanitarium, where he is kept for the next 40 years. Michael is now under the watch of Dr. Sartain, since Dr. Loomis died in the 1990s. In the last 40 years, Laurie has lived in constant paranoia and fear that Michael might come to finish what he started one day. She eventually has a daughter named Karen, but loses custody of her when she's just 12 years old due to her parenting techniques. But Laurie says she was just trying to prepare her for the horrors of this world. Now Laurie lives alone in a heavily protected house with a giant fence and various different locks on her doors. And her daughter Karen now has a daughter of her own named Allison and a husband named Ray. Although Karen doesn't want to associate herself with Laurie, Allison seems to have a pretty good relationship with her grandmother. Michael Myers is once again set to be moved to another facility and boards a bus with other inmates and Dr. Sartain. But later we see a dad and his son on a hunting trip until they come across the bus on the side of the road and the inmates all wandering around. The dad gets out of the car to see what's going on and tells his son to call the cops, but Michael ends up killing him by breaking his neck. After his dad has been gone for a while, the son gets out of the car and enters the bus to look for him, but the only person he finds is Dr. Sartain. Don't shoot! The kid runs back into the truck, but Michael emerges from the back seat and kills him. Luckily for Sartain, Deputy Frank Hawkins shows up in time to take him to the hospital. Michael then follows a couple of podcasters, Dana and Aaron, who visited him while he was in Smith's Grove to try and get him to say something by showing him his William Shatner mask. He ends up killing the podcasters after following them to a gas station by bashing Aaron's head in before snapping Dana's neck. He then takes back his mask and goes on a murdering spree that Halloween night. Among the people murdered are Allison's friends Vicky and Dave. Vicky was babysitting a kid named Julian, who is easily the funniest kid actor I've ever seen.
If I had some other kind of babysitter, she'd be reading me a story. I wouldn't be up clipping my nasty ass toenail.
And after she tucked him in for bed, her boyfriend Dave shows up. They start making out until Julian runs downstairs saying that there's a boogeyman in his room. So Vicky goes upstairs to check and is attacked by Michael, who is hiding in the closet. He kills her with multiple stabs in the back, but Julian is able to run away. He then kills Dave by stabbing him against the wall, similar to how he killed Bob in the original. The police eventually find out where Michael is, and Deputy Hawkins shows up to the house. Laurie also shows up, using a police radio scanner to find out where Michael is as well, since she had heard he escaped from the bus crash. From outside the house, Laurie sees Michael for the first time in 40 years in a mirror through the window, but Michael is able to escape escape before Hawkins or Laurie can stop him. Meanwhile, Allison has been at a high school Halloween party with her boyfriend Cameron and her friend Oscar. The party is ruined for Allison after she catches Cameron kissing another girl. This leads to an argument between the two, during which Cameron throws her phone into a bowl of nacho cheese. So Allison walks home with Oscar, but things quickly get awkward after he reveals that he has a crush on her and attempts to kiss her. Allison storms off, and while Oscar is left alone, Michael appears and attacks him. He lands a stab to Oscar's back as he tries to climb over a fence, which causes Oscar to fall down onto one of the fence's spikes. Allison comes to check if Oscar's okay after hearing his screams of terror, and when she gets there, she sees Oscar hung up in the fence before locking eyes with Michael for the first time. Allison runs to a neighbor's house to call the police and is eventually picked up by Deputy Hawkins and Dr. Sartain, who's been riding along with Hawkins to try and help him find Michael. Hawkins is there to bring her to Laurie's house, where Laurie, Karen, and Ray are already waiting, since Laurie's house was specifically made for a situation like this, including a bunker filled with weapons and other survival items. While on his way to Laurie's house, Hawkins finds Michael walking down the street and runs him over with his car. Hawkins doesn't want to make the same mistake he did in 1978, so he gets out of the car to finish him off for good. But Dr. Sartain doesn't want Michael dead, since he still wants to get a better understanding of him. In order to stop Hawkins from killing Michael, Sartain pulls out a penknife and stabs Hawkins in the neck. Sartain then drags Michael into the back seat before driving to Laurie's house for a reunion. We also learn that Sartain was the one that caused Michael's bus to crash, and he says he's done all of this to understand the mind of evil. On the way to Laurie's, Allison gets Sartain to pull over by saying Michael spoke to her, something Sartain has been obsessed with hearing himself. Just then, Michael wakes up and attacks Sartain and then kills him by stomping his head in. Allison is able to run away while Michael kills the two police officers assigned to guard the entrance to Laurie's property. Michael then gets to Laurie's house and strangles Ray to death after distracting him with the dead bodies of the two cops. Laurie sees Michael outside, so she sends Karen into the basement while she waits against the door. Michael then breaks through and attacks Laurie, but she is able to stop him with a shot to his hand with a shotgun. Laurie then goes down into the basement as well and tries shooting Michael through the floor, but she misses and blows their cover. So she heads back upstairs and looks through the house for Michael. He comes out of the shadows in a room full of mannequins and is able to land a stab to her stomach. He then throws her off the balcony onto the ground, but he gets distracted for a moment by the sound of Allison entering the house, and when he looks back, Laurie has vanished. Allison goes into the bunker with her mom, but since Laurie had shot from down there earlier, Michael knows where they're hiding. He starts tearing the bunker's cover and eventually is able to break it off. When Michael shows himself at the top of the steps, Karen aims her gun and shoots Michael in the side of the face. Laurie then comes out of the shadows to attack Michael and is able to knock him down into the bunker. And after Karen and Allison fight their way out, they pull a lever to reveal that the basement was a trap for Michael all along. Gas starts pumping into the house and Laurie throws a road flare into the bunker. The three Strode women escape out of the house before it burns down, but when we're showed the inside of the burning house, Michael is nowhere to be seen. The last shot we see is of Laurie, Karen, and Allison in the back of a truck as Allison holds a bloody knife in her hand.